You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. Mark covers all things Penn State football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as anything related to the sports and fitness world. Tune in weekly to listen to a couple of dedicated fans talk about these topics without filters. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
What's up, mateys? Welcome to the Mark Lesko Podcast. I'm your host, J-Rod, and this is Pirate Central. Listen, you got to sit down for this one. The Pirates lost their series to the Brewers and the Cubs. I know it's shocking. Upset me too, for so many reasons. The Brewers and the Cubs just big brothered us. That's what I've named this, where, the Brewers and the Cubs feel like, every division feels like brothers in a family. And Brewers and Cubs, they're older. They have the more, they're the well-rounded student. They've got the good grades. They've got, all the stats for their high school, jock career, all that. They're big in basketball, great in football, and of course in baseball. They just do it all. They're well-rounded. Pirates, they're the guy that just kind of showed up and just sat there and twiddled his thumbs, Yeah, it's kind of what it is. That's what we have to deal with. And once again, it's always coming back to the same story because, again, the owner doesn't care. The president, doesn't push anything to be done. And the GM just collects a paycheck and does not give any reason to think that he's doing anything to be competitive. It's just unbelievable. I don't know what else to say about it. I can't stress it enough where we have to have this be addressed. I cannot believe that the MLB does not want to step in. I can't believe they're not allowed to, where it's like there has to be something built into that business structure of that sport, where if a company like Pittsburgh, in their, the whole chain, where they're not doing anything to be better, they're not trying to bring in anything, and they just exist. There's being competitive, there's doing things to rebuild, and then there's this where they are just existing at this very moment. And I just wish there was something that could be done in the realm of MLB, just being like, you know what, we're going to start finding you guys until you start being competitive, because you've spent many years not. I can understand where an organization like Colorado, Miami, and currently the Athletics, where it's like you just can't be competitive. You can't, because your divisions are just better, top tier. I get it. There's a lot that could be against an organization not being competitive. But I'm not saying that the Brewers are not elite, because they're showing that they have good records. But when you look at them on paper, when you look at the Cubs on paper, and the Cardinals and the Reds, yes, they all look like $120 million payrolls, and that's what they are. I don't understand how the Cubs could be maybe 200, but I'm saying this shows that this division can be won, but they choose to completely just be nowhere near the conversation. Again, they just don't care. We just have to understand that, have it embedded in our systems until something magically comes along and changes it. That's just what it's going to be, and it stinks. It just does. So I just hope that they figure things out. But can we just stop and take a moment? I totally forgot to mention that I'm kind of redecorating. Kind of giving a little idea as to what I'm hoping in the end with this white wall here. The top of this over my head, I'm trying my darndest to kind of get it right. But from what you can see the top to here, I want it to be Beaver Stadium or Penn State's thing. And on this side, I want an Acrisure Stadium replica. And on this side, I want PNC Park. I'm starting to have a little bit of a personality on the wall for the backdrop. Just wanted to point that out. Something great, and I'm having fun with it. So, but yeah, anyway, so that's kind of what this has really been for a while now. Even, again, Cardinals and Reds, yeah, they're kind of around 500. So they're showing that they want to be like big brothers and try to do something. And again, all of them are at least trying to do something and be competitive. But again, we're down there in the cellar just kind of, playing tic-tac or toe or something like that. It's just, it's unbelievable how we constantly hear that they're going to be competitive, and what do they give us? Like, they don't do anything in the off seasons. They don't try to acquire players. They don't try to make any kind of move that gives you that implication. Like, you're trying to be internal. You're trying to be on the cheap. You're trying to get guys that were tossed, out by the rest of the league that would not give them a starting job. And that's what you have. You have guys now. It is a very odd structure to see still guys like IKF or FAM or players like that are still here, where it's like, how are they? Where they've served their contract. They don't have any. No one else wants that. Like, they don't want to think that they're pieces to make them competitive. And I kind of feel bad for a guy like IKF, because he has shown that. He has gotten decent numbers. I think he has around a 270, 275 batting average. I don't think that's nothing to say you can't use that in the postseason or in a playoff game. And same thing with FAM. I know FAM had a horrible 2 months or whatever it was at the start of the season, but he turned it around mid-June, and now all of a sudden he's at a 260, 265. That is something that you could use, and they didn't do anything for it. So it's definitely a very big head scratcher, but this is how they want to handle themselves. It's another example of all of the ineptitude and just absolute boneheadedness that comes from this front office and this entire organization. It's just terrible. So in the end, we know what they always have been and continue to be. I can only hope that when 2027 comes along and they are going to pretty much lock us all out. I mean, that is kind of a guarantee. They're talking like this is inevitable, that the 2027 season is going to be locked out because the owners have to start implementing a salary cap system, which, yes, that would fix everything. Now it has to be a ceiling and a floor. That's the most important part. We cannot just say, oh, we got a salary cap now. No, we have to have all of the restrictions where it's like, you got to spend this much money. You can't spend more than this much. We got to get that put into play. That way we can actually keep guys like Paul Skeens. Maybe this could very well be the thing where it's like, what are you going to give out in terms of like bonuses or whatever, so you can keep this, because everyone else will be able to pay you the same amount of money. That would be so huge to know that we potentially could have a guy in our organization for a while, as opposed to getting rid of him because we can't pay him. I just really am hoping for it, guys. Anyone should. This needed to be done many, many years ago, but that's just the nature of the sport, and that's how they've wanted to be, and we can't control that. So that's what I've been going to talk about for the first pitch. And moving on to the seventh inning stretch is the upcoming series with the Blue Jays and the Rockies. Now, I am recording this on Tuesday, so we already had the result of last night's game, which was 5-2. But yeah, but talking about, not just to go back a little bit on first pitch, that series with the Brewers, that series with the Cubs. Yeah, like I said, there was nothing positive. Absolutely nothing. I'm so sorry I didn't bring this up. But no, like the Brewers series, I try my darndest, like I said, to always try to be positive from this point forward. And the only positive thing about the Brewers series was it ended. That was the only positive thing, that it was no longer going to be played. We only had 3 games to deal with. So we moved on to the Cubs series, and we was promising. Starting out Friday night, 3-2, respectable win. Looked like an actual game. It was nice. And then you had the results of the next 2 games, 2-1 loss, 4-3 loss. Games you could have won, but offensively you have nothing going for you. Again, it is remarkable how this team just constantly keeps finding ways to stay down there and not try to do anything to be competitive. Like, you could show that you want to actually be winners, but no, it's basically like, well, the 2025 season is completely lost, so we're just going to hold off until next year. And that's what we have to deal with. But moving into this new series again, the Blue Jays, the first game was a win. That's great to see that. Paul Skeens had an absolutely fantastic game last night. Yes, like, that dude is a Cy Young potential winning. I mean, it seems like it's pretty wrapped up. The guy has given 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts. again, phenomenal start. He is just an absolute golden goose of a player. And this, again, makes you just so angry because you know that they had everything going in the sense they're players that are in the minors right now, between Tamar Johnson and Connor Griffin being promoted to Double-A, which awesome. Congratulations on that. I was very happy when they picked him. I very much saw the potential. I heard all of the stats and his stature. I see the guy's like 6'2", 6'3", he's like 180 pounds. And I'm like, that sounds like a all-star to me. And the guy's right now tearing it up. I know it's single A, it's going to be Double-A soon. And it would be cool. Again, he's one of the youngest players in the history to be promoted to Double-A for the Pirate system. I think the only other guy was Andrew. Now, people are saying, can there be a comparison between McCutcheon and Griffin soon? I very much would be curious because, again, they both were 19 years old when they got to Double-A. Now, Andrew's situation was he had to be held down for however long, and it was like 3 years until he debuted. I really do hope that this guy continues to kind of Juan Soto his way to the majors and be really, really young and be very effective and be fun. So that way you still have a guy like Paul Skeens, and then you have like the hitter on the other side. So you have the one pitcher and the one hitter to build an actual team around. And I don't see why you can't like try to do something competitive at some point. But again, we're talking about this series with the Rockies and the Blue Jays. So far, good series. Tonight, Mitch Keller pitches. That's a promising pitcher to maybe get a win. And then we have the announcement that could possibly be Bubba Chandler, but I'm holding my breath. But I'm not holding my breath with that. So it's just, he should have been up here weeks ago. But again, if the Pirates only have 50 innings of usage for the guy, he could still be eligible for Rookie of the Year next year because you know that's what they do. They produce Rookie of the Year candidates all year, every year. You know, the whole Henry Davis thing, that's just so unfortunate. Where, yes, he had great numbers last night. He did have a huge part of being a part of that win. But his batting average right now is at 170, 175. I mean, come on. That's not going to be good enough. They cannot tell me that a number one overall pick 2-3 years ago looks like that. Like, that's just, again, development. It's all about what they did not do to prepare these guys for success. And that's what we have to deal with on a yearly basis with this organization and who's in charge. That's what they've always done. But yeah, this could possibly be a winning series. I very much like what I saw last night. Very solid, but it was more of the Blue Jays giving up the win kind of. It's just like the Blue Jays right now are absolutely one of the better teams in baseball. I mean, again, the names of Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and George Springer, guys like that. I can't name a single guy in the rotation right now, but like they have great numbers. I think they're 20 games over 500, and we're 20 games under. So we're the other spectrum. But they are 5 games ahead of the Yankees in their division, so they could afford to lose a game or two. So it could possibly be that situation. And then we have the Rockies coming. So we don't have the high elevations and potential for screwy numbers like we saw in that other series. For goodness sake, that was still one of the worst games I ever witnessed. But yeah, it should be a good series against the Rockies coming into Pittsburgh, regardless of the fact they're not going to see now they're going to see Skeens on the final game, but again, he got roughed up in Colorado for him. Like, it's definitely just a discouraging thing to know that it could potentially be a losing series again. I don't know what to expect. Like, every series going forward until the end of the season, it's just, hey, does anyone want to show up? Does anyone want to play? I mean, like, we all, if we're fans of baseball, we got to be realistic about something. We know how a lot of the nation feels about baseball. We know that it's a 200-year, sport almost. Like, it's been around a long time. It's kind of the classical music of the sporting world, where it's like, it's been around a long time, and regardless of, some people may still love it. It's not anything special, spectacular. No one treats it like the national pastime anymore, and it's a shame. I do miss knowing that baseball is the best sport in the country, but I love football too. Don't get me wrong. I understand why it is. It's a great, appealing sport. But baseball has always been around and kind of been that symbol. But if you watch how the Pirates players play, they kind of treat themselves and play like how the world perceives baseball. It's like they just don't care. Like they just kind of are there to exist. And again, I know it's the end of the season. I know they don't have anything to play for. I get that. But there has to be kind of like this showing that, listen, every season has its results. This is our results this year. We got to wipe the slate clean coming up. And again, that's what I'm going to build into for my final, closer. So you got your 2025 season pretty much wrapped up as the biggest disappointment I can think of in the last decade and a half. The 2012 season, I think, is the one I can compare that to, where we were so close, but it just fell apart. That was a little different in the sense we did look competitive for quite some time. We never looked competitive this entire season. This entire season, we did not look competitive. Last year, we looked way more competitive. And we were actually in a conversation until August, and everything fell apart naturally like it does. But yeah, the 2025 season may go down as one of the most disappointing seasons I can think of as a Pirate, because I expected them to be bad when I started watching them in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and then when they got to be playoffs, that was, again, a happenstance of everything working that they picked up. Everything just went right. And then it didn't when we had to fire our GM and our president, and then we had them replaced with Travis Williams and Ben Sherrington. And we all see what has been occurring since. They had two opportunities to have winning seasons because it was 76 and 86 in 2023 and 2024. Back-to-back seasons where they were close record-wise. And this year it's like everything was wrong. Everything. Nothing worked. Even Paul Skeens' season, can be said, is kind of disastrous because he still has a losing record. Everything else is great with him in terms of his own performance. But in terms of his team picking him up and putting him in the best position, nope. It's been disappointing. And of course, you got guys like Cruz and Reynolds who have been completely disappointing. Absolutely, like they should have made a step forward and they took about 14 steps back. I mean, there's a lot to shake your head at. And again, it's just all into this season. The off season, of course, starts as soon as this season's over for them. And so it's like you have October, November, December, January, and then spring training will start in February. You have 4 months. You have 4 whole months to get this mindset in that sense. What do we want? What do we want? Like, what are we going to, how do we improve ourselves? How do we make ourselves better? This is really the only question that should be on their minds. Once the offseason starts, Ben Sherrington should be fired. Potentially Travis Williams should be fired. But yeah, they have to bring in new guys, and whoever they are, I really need to hear a statement released that just says, we're going to try to be competitive in 2026. In sense, like, we're going to be competitive in 2026. We're going to spend more money. We need a statement out that pretty much gives you this idea that, listen, it hasn't worked. This was the system we had. We're going to bring in a new system that tries to do everything it can to be competitive. Like, I don't know what else to bring up, but it's just, that's what they need to have. They need to have a representative bring that statement out and have it be actually true, not just little things we want to hear, but they want to mean that. They up the payroll, try to actually go for guys, give them 15, 20 million in 1 year. I know that's ludicrous, but that's what you're going to need. You're going to need at least 4 or 5 guys for your positions. Like Jack Sawinski, gone. Alexander Canario, gone. Just wipe it all clean. Like, try to actually bring in players that will make the bench good, make the actual field good, and then you got to start looking at the bullpen and maybe a rotation guy. Maybe. I mean, for all we know, Johan Oviedo could come back stronger than ever next year. Bubba Chandler could finally get that starting position. He could be the number 5 starter. The 2026's potential lineup could be Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, Johan Oviedo, and Bubba Chandler. That would be a very, very solid starting rotation. But it's all going to come down to what they want to do with the lineup because it needs to get better. I am so sorry, but it's like I think I saw a podcast where they were pointing out that the Pirates themselves in this abysmal offensive season. I mean, one of the worst offensive numbers I've ever seen across the board. They're like last in every single category: runs, home runs, RBIs, it's just so bad. And they don't have a single player. Like they do the analytics and all that stuff on this other podcast where they show that the Pirates don't have a single average hitter. Like in the baseball numbers with every offensive player, they have the average, and not one Pirate is close to average. I think the closest one is Nick Gonzalez. They say the average is 100. He's at 99. Everyone else is 94, 92, 91, and lower. And it's just like, how in the world do you not produce at least one average hitter on your lineup? I mean, the Rockies have a couple of those guys on that list that I heard that are above average hitters. It's like, how do you allow that where they're having the worst season ever in baseball, and yet they have good players that know how to hit? So it's really going to come down to what everything goes to 2026. I really do hope it happens. I hope that everything is said what I want to hear, that they're going to be competitive. I don't want to hear try. I just want them to be competitive in 2026 and give Paul Skeens and company something to look forward to. Because again, guys like Tamar Johnson may be up next year. Guys like Connor Griffin, who are 19 years old. Again, I'm very excited to see players like that maybe start to show up, do something spectacular. Everything's there to take it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and I hope that you guys continue to watch. I enjoy it every time, and I hope you guys like the new decor. I'm going to try my darndest to get it all ready. But until next time, guys, let's go Bucks.